What's up everyone, I'm Frovlax and today I'm trying to Nuzlocke Pokémon Sword with only electric types. So, the rules for this challenge are: play the game in set mode, no items in battle besides L items, no overleveling. If a Pokémon faints, it needs to be boxed, and I can only use one electric type Pokémon per route or area. Also, I won't be using any DLC Pokémon. If you want, check the description for more detailed rules. Electric powers are usually one of the coolest ones, either in movies or even in animes. If the character uses electric powers, it is most likely overpowered. So, I decided to check for myself if in Pokémon games electric types are just as good. And I choose to play Pokémon Sword because I've only played this game once and I want to play it again. But enough talking, let's just start. It's time to choose the starter, and we go with Sobble so that Hop gets Cinderace and Leon gets Rillaboom. I think that's gonna make things a little harder for us. We then go to the Slumbering Wheel to fight the illusion of the legendary Pokémon. And to this day, I still don't understand this part, but at least now we can start a challenge. We catch a Grubbin on Route 1, but we can't use him until he evolves. In Route 2, we finally grab a Yampert, and I name this guy Bolt, and we can officially start the run. Once we've reached the professor's house, we get to battle Hop, and honestly, I underestimate this guy. It's not like this was a hard battle or anything, but he used Growl a few times with his Wooloo and Scorbunny, leaving us to do pretty much negative damage. But with the help of Paralysis and Hop being an absolute idiot and choosing not to attack us 4 turns in a row when we are at 5 HP, we managed to beat him, but this was a bad start. AI definitely helped us here. Now that we've reached the wild area, we're able to get a couple of new teammates. The first one is an Electric that we named Biter, and the second one is a Joltik that obviously gotta be named Gwen. After the gym challenge ceremony, we got to battle Hop again on Route 3, but with our improved team, he stood no chance and we easily beat him. The battle with Beat on the Galar Mines wasn't as easy though. Solosis does a lot more damage with Confusion than what I anticipated, and by the time I beat him, I'm already at half HP, even after Bolt recovering a bit thanks to an Oran Berry. Kotita comes next and we paralyzed it, but it lowers our attack so Bite doesn't do much and we need to swap. And I choose Gwen, but take a bunch of damage from Psybeam, and on the next turn, Kotita survived the Bug Bite on a Sliver and we take another powerful Psybeam that brought us to 3 HP, activating our berry. We KO it next turn, but when Athena comes out, we are forced to send in Biter. That takes the Confusion that got us just a bit over half. We go for Shockwave and do a third of its HP, but now we are at half health and I know that I can survive a hit unless she crits, so I just risk it. And we survive with just 5 HP, defeating Beat on the next turn. I honestly wasn't expecting to struggle so much in these early battles. On Route 4, we grabbed an Eevee and we went to the wild area and picked up a Thunderstone to evolve it into Jolteon, so let's welcome Nami to the team. We've reached Turffield now, and since the level cap for the gym here is 20, we can evolve Grubbin into a Charjabug. Now that we have our 5th member Stinger, let's just go to the gym. We open up with Stinger against Malo's Gossifleur, but we one-shot it with Bug Bite. Eldegoss is next, but since we already have 5 teammates, I decided not to Dynamax in this gym to make it more fair. She goes for max Overgrowth and does a third of my health, but we do about the same with Bug Bite. So we both just go for that same strategy, but on the next turn, I decided not to risk the crit and send out Gwen that takes a max strike like a champ and just finish it with Bug Bite. Honestly, this gym was super easy. We head to Route 5 next, where the lady inside the daycare just gave us a Toxel, so this is gonna be our stereo. Hop is waiting for us again at the bridge. I really didn't remember this game having so many rival battles, but again, this was an easy one. Bolt and Nami just took care of everything without any issues. Once we arrive at Albury, we fish for a Shinchao, our next teammate, and one of the most important for this run. So we're gonna name him Lamp. And after a bit of struggling to solve a puzzle that was made for kids, it's time to face Nessa, the second gym leader. We start with Nami against our Golden, that we one-shot with a Thundershock. And you guessed it, we did the same thing to our Arrokuda. This time, I decided to Dynamax just for fun, so we easily beat our Dreadnought with just 2 max lightings. And with that, we got our second badge. On Galar Mine 2, we fought Beat again, but Stinger just one-shots his whole team with Bug Bite, taking only a Confusion from Ponyta. Is it me, or this run is getting too easy? It's time to go back to Motostoke for the 3rd gym, but before that we evolve Bolt, and our Biter, and last but not least our Lamp into Lantern, the secret weapon for this gym. At this point I was getting too cocky, and I went to fight with Kabu without preparing, because I just thought that with Lantern on a team, the gym was in the bag, but he starts with Ninetales, and when she hits the Will-O-Wisp on the first turn, I realized that I've messed up. She was pretty easy to deal with, 2 Bubble Beams were enough, but next is Arcanine, and he flinches with Bite, and when you finally hit a Bubble Beam, Lamp is too low, so I bring out Bolt that takes a bite but finishes Arcanine with Spark. But now we have to face his Sentry Scorch, the first Gigantamax Pokémon we'll be facing, and to be honest, without Lamp I have nothing good against him, and once he used G-Max Sand Inferno I realized just how much damage that thing does, and I panicked. I didn't think properly, so we end up having to sacrifice Bolt to do as much damage as possible with one last Max Lightning. But we are still in danger. We send out Nami, praying that she can survive one hit. Luckily for us, Sentry Scorch goes for Max Flutterby, leaving Nami with just 17 HP, which is enough to finish Kabu with one last Thunder Shock, getting us the 3rd badge. I can't believe we lost Bolt in this battle. This one hurts, because I know it's on me. I should have prepared better, but we gotta move on. After defeating Kabu, we unlock a bunch of new spots on the wild area, which allow us to grab a couple of new teammates. The first one is Goofy, the Helioptile, and since we already have a Sunstone, we evolve it right away into a Heliolisk. Now it's time for another one, a Pikachu that we named Zap. We headed to Route 6, where we're forced to battle with Team EL members that were only trying to protect a Silicobra while she slept. Hold on, are we the bad guys here? Anyway, they weren't an issue, so we continued, but we ran into a random trainer that I wasn't ready to face at all. She only had a Throw on her team, but he had Storm Throw that always crits, Circle Throw that keeps swapping your Pokemon, and Revenge. And since Lamp took a Storm Throw on the first turn, I just lost my best option against him. Every time I changed a Pokemon, he would send them back, basically making me take free damage every turn. So I needed to make a choice, and unfortunately my choice was to sacrifice Biter. I don't know if this was the best option, but if he kept predicting my swaps, I think it would be worse. At least this way I could make sure we could finish him with Nami, second death of the run, and this was kind of a dumb one to be honest, but not everything is lost. We get Toxel up to level 30, evolving him into Toxtricity, a huge power spike for us. Once we arrive at Sowan's side, we go and battle Hop right away, but he still isn't much of a threat. Goofy one-shots Cramorant with Thunderbolt. Next is Silicobra, so we are forced to send in Lamp, but we one-shot it with a Scald Crit. Toxel is a one-shot as well, and Raboot takes 2 Scalds but goes down without any issues as well. Hop, you need to get better. We evolved Gwen into a Galvantula, and now it's time to go face Bia, and for the first time in this run, I don't have anything good for this gym. We start with Gwen against her Hitmontop, and we use Sticky Web while she goes for Revenge. The next turn, I misclicked, and I go for Sticky Web again, taking another Revenge, leaving us a bit below half. Well, that was a great start. I try to get some HP back with Leech Life, but we do very little damage, and Revenge just did double damage now, so we got a swap, and I send in Nami, that loses half of its HP from Revenge. This is starting to look bad. I choose to use Lamp this time, but he also takes a lot of damage from Revenge, but I know that I can take another hit, so we go for Dazzling Gleam and do massive damage. And luckily for us, he went with Counter, that does nothing, so we finish him off with another Dazzling Gleam. She sends in Pangoro next, and I really thought that we could one-shot it, but he survived on a red health, which didn't matter, because it just worked up, so we KO him next turn. Now it's Surfetch, and we go for Skull trying to get a burn, but it didn't work, and he went for Swords Dance. And I was pretty sure he was low enough for Dazzling Gleam to KO, but he survived with 1 HP and hits us with Revenge, and just like that, we lost Lamp, one of the most important teammates for this run. This was terrible. We sent Stereo to finish him with a Venoshock, but we are not done yet. We still have to face the Gigantamax Machamp. We go for Max Lightning, doing a third of its HP and setting up the Electric Terrain, but we take a Max Darkness that hit almost half of our HP, and we continue with Max Lightning, bringing him to red health while we recover a bit thanks to Shell Bell, which allow us to survive 1 Max Strike crit with only 3 HP left. That was terrifying, but I know that I'm still faster, so we just finish him off once and for all. We got the 4th badge, but with 3 Pokemon dead already, I know that I have to step up my game or we'll be in trouble. So, in case you don't know, if you do 20,000 points on Rotom Rally, you get the TM for Volt Switch, which is a huge upgrade for our team. Anyway, we go face Bid next, but Gwen just spams Leech Life, and that's enough to take care of everyone. I'm not even sure if I should consider this a boss battle with how easy it is. Moving on, we cross this weird forest full of luminous mushrooms and reach Balonlea Town. To be honest, from this point on, I really struggle to keep my Pokemon under the level cap. Now, it's time to challenge Opal, and this gym is weird, cause she asks a bunch of questions during the battles that will change your stats, so I'll be giving wrong answers only to get the debuffs. She starts with Weezing against our Goofy, and we go for Yaeri Impulse to drop his special attack, so we only take a bit of damage from Sludge. The first question drops our speed. It takes 2 parabolic charges to defeat Weezing, but we do it while recovering all of our HP missing. Next is Mawile, and we Volt Switch into Gwen, that takes a bit of damage from Crunch. The second question drops our defenses, so we Volt Switch again to finish off Mawile and send in Nami. Opal sends out Togekiss next, and we Volt Switch back to Goofy, tanking a Draining Kiss. And you guessed it, we Volt Switch one more time into Stereo, while also defeating Togekiss. The Alcremie Gigantamax is our last Pokemon, but we do a lot of damage with Max Ooze while taking very little from G-Max Finale. The final question drops our attack, but it doesn't matter, because on our 3rd Max Ooze, we still do enough damage to defeat Opal's Ace and getting the 5th badge. Before we progress in the game, I grinded a lot of watts, and I mean a lot. It took 3 days of my free time to do this, just so that I could go to the digging duel to grab the fossils I needed. Because I honestly didn't know, but the ones I wanted have like 1% chance to be found on Pokémon Sword. But now, with a fossilized bird and fossilized Drake, we can revive our secret weapon, Dracozolt, aka the Chicken. This thing has a bunch of resistances. It also has Volt Absorb, which is way better than Hustle, so this is gonna be a great addition. On the way to Route 7, we have to face Hop again. That hasn't been much of a challenge lately, but he has Cinderace now, and let's just say, that bunny really knows how to kick. We start with Goofy against his Trevenant, so we Volt Switch into Stereo that takes a bit of damage from Ornleech, and we go for Sludge Bomb to do massive damage, but he hits us with Confuse Ray. Hop uses an Hyper Potion on Trevenant, but the Confusion ends up doing nothing to us and we hit 2 Sludge Bombs for the KO. Next is Cinderace, and as you can see, that thing hits hard, but luckily for us, we didn't hit ourselves in confusion and were able to Volt Switch for the Chicken that defeats him with high horsepower. The rest of his team was easy to deal with, we just spammed Dragon Claw on Snorlax and high horsepower on Boltund and Hitmore, but it does look like Hop is getting better though. Once we reach Route 7, we grab the Morpeko that we named Two-Face, and on Route 8, we're able to catch a Togedemaru. This is gonna be our Spiky. We arrived at Surchaser City, and I really thought that I would fail to keep under the level cap this time, but turns out you can dodge every single trainer in that gym besides the first one. After doing the final upgrades to our team, it's time to challenge Gordy, the Rock-type gym leader, and I use our latest teammate Spiky against his Barbaracle. We go for Zingzap, that flinches him, so we just finish him off with Iron Head. His next Pokemon is Chuckle, that we also flinch with Iron Head, and KO it with a second one. He sends in Stonjourner, and we flinch him again with Iron Head. This little ball has to be blessed by Arceus. I go for U-turn this time, and send in the Chicken, that takes a bit of damage from Rock Tomb, but finishes Stonjourner with a high horsepower. Now, it's time to face his Gigantamax Colossal, that we hit with Max Quake for massive damage while we easily tank a G-Max Volcalith. So, we just go for another Max Quake to guarantee the victory on Gordy and receive the 6th badge. Right after the gym, we have to face Hop again, and this time it was more of a challenge. We start with Spiky against Double, and I honestly didn't know if this thing had a ground move, so I just went with Magnet Rise, while he uses Defense Curl. We use Zingzap on the second turn and flinch it, activating Double Steadfast ability. He's faster than us now and hit us with Takedown, but we can finish it with another Zingzap. He goes for Cinderace next, so I need to swap for the Chicken, that takes a Powerball and then a powerful Mega Kick, but he also hits hard with high horsepower. And since I'm pretty sure he's gonna go for a potion, I just go for another high horsepower that we crit and one-shot it. Next is Snorlax, but I'm low so I swap for Stereo. But this thing is hard with Body Slam, so using Toxic and Volt Switch for Goofy is all I can do. We take a powerful crunch on the switch, but with Parabolic Charge we recover enough HP to survive a Body Slam while he dies to Alien Poison. He sends in Pincushion next, so we swap to Nami that deals with him with 2 Shadow Balls. He didn't even do anything. The last Pokemon is Corviknight, but it's an easy one-shot with Nami's Thunderbolt. We headed to Route 9, where we grabbed our final encounter, a Pincushion that I decided to call Don't Step. And yeah, in theory, we could still get a Rotom, but it would be like level 55, so we could only use it for the champion fight. We reach Spikemuth and it's time for the gym battle, so we challenge Pierce that start with Scrafty against the chicken. Honestly, he doesn't do much damage to us, so we just spam a Aerial Ace until Scrafty goes down. Next is Malamar, so I just send in Gwen that one-shots it with Bug Buzz. Now it's the Ace Obstagoon that, to my surprise, survives the Bug Buzz and almost kills Gwen with a Throat Chop. But I use Volt Switch to KO the Obstagoon and send in Stereo against his Tank. He crits us with Sucker Punch, and since I don't know if I can take another one, I'm forced to swap to Spiky that secures the victory with an Iron Head and gets us the 7th badge. Now that we can surf on our bike, I go to the Lake of Outrage and grab the Thunderstone and evolve Zap into Raichu. And after rearranging my team and their movesets, it's time for the final gym. The 8th gym is very tricky. Not only is it a double battle, but Ryan also has good counters for our team. So I choose to start with Zap and Don't Step. I use Reflect cause his team is mainly physical attackers, but I also use Rain Dance to nullify the Sandstorm. Luckily for us, Flygon doesn't have a ground move, and Gigalith only knows Sun Tomb, so I start to use Nasty Plots with Zap and Curse with Don't Step. Flygon only uses Breaking Swipe, so as long as it doesn't crit, we are fine. He also got paralyzed with Static. Gigalith is doing some damage, so I use Rest to recover. I had a Lumberry on Don't Step, so he wakes up right away. Now that we are at +4 special attack, we use Draining Kiss to recover our HP, and honestly, him surviving on red health is great, cause he is not a threat, and this means I can focus on right side now. I go for another Nasty Plot to max out our special attack, and use Rest again with Don't Step. Now we are ready. I use Draining Kiss on Gigalith, doing half of its HP, while Don't Step is still asleep. But another Draining Kiss is enough to take him out. Next is Sandaconda, but it's a one-shot with Grass Knot. She put the Sunstar back in the field, but Don't Step woke up just in time to use Rain Dance again. Reflect just ended, and it's time to deal with his ace, Duraludon. By the way, if you're wondering why Reflect lasts this long, it's because I had a Light Clay on Raichu. We use Reflect again with Raichu and Rest once more with Pincushion. If Duraludon attacks Zap, I'm not sure he'd survive, but he goes for Don't Step, that tanks a max Rockfall like a champ. And on the next turn, I use Draining Kiss on Duraludon that allow us to survive a G-Max depletion, a Breaking Swipe, and the Sandstorm buff. But now, it's time to finish this. One last Draining Kiss finishes Duraludon, and on the next turn, we do the same to Flygon. This battle was brutal. I couldn't even Dynamax if I wanted everyone to survive. But just like that, we got all the 8 badges. It was only at this point in the game that I discovered that I can go to the other guy from the digging duel for more Thunderstones, so I grabbed another and evolved Stinger into an amazing Vikavolt. This is actually a huge upgrade, and now we are ready to go to the championship tournament. Our first opponent is Marnie, and to be honest, this was an easy one. Zap crits a Draining Kiss after a Nasty Plot, and one-shots Liepard. Next is Scrafty, but he just forced me to keep swapping using Swagger, until Stereo finishes him with Overdrive. Next is Toxicroak, and we one-shot it with Boom Burst. A Morpeko goes down to a Boom Burst as well, and Grimmsnarl went down with just 2 max Ooze. But to be fair, Stereo had its special attack at +2 thanks to a Swagger from Toxicroak. The second one is Hop, and we open up with Stinger against Double, that managed to hit a Body Slam but goes down with 2 Thunderbolts. Next is Snorlax, that does some damage with heavy slams, but we can tank it without issues. So we just spam Bug Buzz until he goes down. he sends out Corviknight now, that we easily one-shot with a Thunderbolt. Next, he uses Spin Incursion, and we swap for Zap, while Hop uses Curse. Then, we set up the Rain Dance, but he hits pretty hard with Poison Jab, so we use Reflect on the next turn, and we're able to survive another one. Now, it's time to swap for the Chicken, that took a Poison Jab that got him poisoned, but we finish him with just 2 Earth Powers. And by the time Cinderace shows up, we are already at half HP. But I still think this is our best option thanks to Reflect, so I decided to Dynamax the Chicken anyways. He uses Max Knuckle, that even with a crit did almost no damage to us, and we go for Max Lightning, setting up the Electric Terrain. On the next turn, we easily tank another Max Knuckle while we do massive damage with Max Lightning. And honestly, I thought he was gonna kill the Chicken here with Max Flare, but he goes for another Max Knuckle that we're able to survive and eat Cinderace one last time for the victory. But I actually think he could have killed the Chicken right there. Now we have to go to Rose Tower to fight this lady that clearly lost her mind, and she starts with Frovlax against our Nami. She hits us with Icy Wind and Will-O-Wisp that burned us, but we just used Thunderbolt twice and she faints. Next is Milotic, but since we got burned, we have to Volt Switch into Stinger that loses almost half of its HP from a Surf, but finishes Milotic with a Thunderbolt. Now it's Salazzle, and we send out the Chicken that gets poisoned but one-shots Salazzle with an Earth Power. Oleana sends out Serena now, and she keeps stomping the Chicken while we do some damage with a Aerial Ace. And before we get the KO, we send out Spiky, that hits it with Stomp and uses Magnet Rise while she faints because of Iron Barbs. And now it's time to face a giant pile of trash, Garbodor. But since we used Magnet Rise, we are immune to ground moves, so he has no good way of dealing damage to us, and we can tank every max move he has. And since his defense goes down every time we hit him because of his weak armor ability, we just keep attacking until we KO him on the last Dynamax turn. I forgot just how many back-to-back battles this game had. Anyway, we go back to the tournament to face Pete, the last of the 3 rivals, and he actually has a pretty decent team now. He starts with Mawile, so we go with Stereo that easily one-shots her with Overdrive, but next is Gardevoir, and she knows Psychic, so we swap for Spiky, and luckily she goes for Wish, so we just KO her with Iron Head. Beat sends out Rapidash that hits a Psycho Cut, but we used U-turn to send out Nami, and we set up the light screen because his team is mainly special attackers, but we also take a powerful Psycho Cut. Now we Volt Switch back to Spiky while taking another Psycho Cut. Beat is gonna use a full restore, so we go for U-turn once more, this time to send out Stinger, but we take another Psycho Cut before finishing Rapidash with Flash Cannon. Lastly is the Gigantamax at Arena, but thanks to the light screen we can easily tank a hit from that thing, and with the second Max Steel Spike we defeat it, winning the last rival battle of this game. The next battle is against Nessa, but as you can imagine, there is not much to say about this one. We pretty much one-shot our whole team. The only thing we needed to be careful about is a Barraskewda with Drill Run, but we just used Stinger for that. And to deal with a Dreadnought, we just picked the Chicken that gets the KO with just 2 Max Lightnings. We have to fight Bia now, and she starts with Alusha, so we go with Nami that is faster and can one-shot it with Thunderbolt. Next is Phalanx, that survives the Thunderbolt on a Sliver and hits a Rock Tomb to slow us down. She uses a full restore next, and I go with Volt Switch into Stereo that finishes him with Overdrive. She sends out Graplock now, and it survives the Boom Burst, and since it lowers our defenses, we use Volt Switch to KO it and send out Nami. Bia sends out her Surfetch, the one that killed our Lamp, so we Volt Switch back to Stereo that takes a Brick Break but recovers a bit with Black Sludge, and defeats him with Overdrive, avenging our Lamp. Our last Pokemon is the Machamp, but he doesn't have anything good against us, so we just spam Max Lightnings until we KO him and defeat Bia. Now it's time to finally face the last challenger of the tournament, Raihan, and although this time we're not having a double battle, his team got better. He starts with a Turtle that has Drought, and we start with Don't Step that knows Rain Dance, so we use it while Turtle starts to charge Solar Beam. On the next turn, we put Toxic Spikes on the field and tank the Solar Beam. We go for Toxic Spikes again while he uses Yawn, and since we won't need Don't Step anymore in this battle, we just use Liquidation, but he uses Yawn again for some reason. But now we are asleep, so we swap for Stereo that easily takes a body press and we decide to finish him with a Volt Switch while sending out Zap. But Ryan chose Flygon, which is the last Pokemon I wanted to see, so I need to swap for Stinger that is immune to the Earthquake. Flygon uses Sunstorm and we go for Bug Buzz, and on the next turn we take a Dragon Claw but we finish him with another Bug Buzz. Ryan sends out Turtonator, so we immediately have to swap for Zap. He just used Shell Trap and Sunny Day, so we go for 2 Nasty Plots and Reflect, and we're able to finish him with Draining Kiss. Gudra is out next, but it only used Rain Dance and goes down with 2 Draining Kisses. The last one is Duraludon, but we do massive damage with Max Starfall and we can easily tank his hits thanks to Reflect. And with the second Max Starfall, we KO Duraludon and defeat Ryan. We have to go face the Shaman Rose now, the character that everyone realized was evil from the start. He only uses Steel types, so I thought the Chicken Flamethrower and we two-shot everything. His Cavalier did a bunch of damage with Drill Run, but the rest of his Pokemon do no damage. And right before he uses his Ace, we send out Stinger that takes some damage from Klinklang, but when he sends out Kuparaja, he can't use Max Quake thanks to Levitate, so we just use 2 Max Lightnings to finish him off. As far as evil bosses go, this one was pretty easy. Right after the battle, we rush to go help Leon, who probably has been spending all of his money on capes and couldn't buy an Ultra Ball, I guess. Anyways, we took care of that and saved the region. And now, it's time to finally face the last boss of this game, Leon. And I know I've been trash talking him, but if we ignore the fact that he has Charizard as his ace, he actually has a pretty solid team. So it's time to see if we can actually pull this off. He starts with Aegislash and we choose Zap, so we put up the light screen while he uses Shadow Ball. I try to predict the King's Shield and go for Nasty Plot, and it worked. We go for a second Nasty Plot, but we take massive damage from Sacred Sword, but at least he got paralyzed with Static. Now we use Draining Kiss, and we got enough HP back to survive the Shadow Ball. We do it again, but this turn he got paralyzed, and since I know we'll go for a full restore, I use one last Nasty Plot. Now that we are maxed out, 2 Draining Kisses were enough to finish him. Light screen were off, and he sends out Axorus, which is perfect because he can't survive a +6 Draining Kiss from Zap. But next, he sends out Rhyperior, and I can't take an Earthquake from him, so I swap for Stinger that one-shots it with Energy Ball. Dragapult is out now, and I switch back to Zap, but the only thing we can do is put up the light screen and sacrifice him to make a clean switch for Stereo. He can't do much damage to me, but I can't do much damage to him either, so he spams Shadow Ball while we spam Sludge Bomb, but we can get some HP back thanks to Black Sludge, so we eventually KO him. He sends out Rillaboom now, and for some reason I thought I was faster, so I end up losing Stereo to a high horsepower on a dumb mistake right in the endgame. We send out Stinger now, and Leon used Endeavor for some reason, so we just use Bug Buzz to KO Rillaboom. And now it's time to face the Charizard, and unfortunately I'm gonna have to sacrifice Stinger, because I can't KO Charizard with it. So I'm gonna save Dynamax for someone else. And this time I send out Nami, that uses Max Lightning, but Charizard survives it on 1 HP. But we can tank the G-Max Wildfire and use another Max Lightning, winning as the battle against the unbeatable champion. We did it, we successfully finished this run. All of our teammates were important for this challenge, except maybe Two-Faced. I don't even remember if I actually used it. If you're wondering why I made so many dumb mistakes early, it's because I was streaming and I wasn't focused, so that won't happen again. I had a lot of fun doing this one. Although it might look easy, you still have to put a lot of thought into these battles, but I admit that having so many TMs available is definitely a great help. But let me know if you like these challenges in recent games or if you think it's better in early gens. Thank you so much for watching this video, I really appreciate you all. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment and share it with a friend, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!